Like many of you, I experienced the early days of my life from within the comfort of my baby basket. A mobile baby basket, however, carried on the back of friendly Sherpas and up the hills of the Himalayas. I embarked on my adventures quite young. More recently, I also spent a few years growing up in central Vietnam, which was a wonderful experience, especially as I look back now at afternoon swimming in murky rivers and football games in buffalo territory. However, at the time, I also noticed some of my friends seemingly struggle with a sense of identity. This identity struggle appears to be a phenomenon amongst the general expat child population. It's not hard to find examples. The typical dialogue of the expat kid stereotype goes something like this. We essentially don't have an identity. Thinking about where we're from seriously gives us a sweat, and when filling out a form, we literally have an identity crisis. These are all quotes adapted from other TED Talks on the matter of third culture kids, or TCKs, those who have grown up in countries different to their parents' passport culture. However, I would argue that it doesn't have to be this way. I'm a third culture kid myself as well. I was 3 months old when I left my home country, Belgium, to live a life abroad in Kathmandu, and ever since I relocated 4 times and over 3 borders. My last relocation happened because my previous school in Hoi An didn't provide for the last 2 years of high school, and so I had to say goodbye to my parents as they were comfortable living there, and came to Saigon to finish school. When I visited my parents during the school holidays, I let my host parents know that I arrived home. Likewise, when I returned to Saigon, I let my parents know that I arrived home. Even when I go back to Belgium for the summer holidays, I let my friends both here and there know that I arrived home. So people often ask me what I consider home, and that's when I realized that my understanding of the concept is not your usual single-word answer, but that this doesn't trouble me either, as they often expect. To me, home is not so much a place as it is a feeling, a comfortable sense of belonging. However, of course, when you've undergone several cross-cultural relocations, matters become more complicated as you're repeatedly required to find a sense of belonging in each new place. Hence, the common struggles of identity and belonging to third culture kids. But, however I've often undergone these relocations, I don't feel like I relate as much to this issue as some TCKs may do. I feel like as if my sense of belonging is made up of all the different parts of my relocating history. I've been able to maintain a sense of identity and belonging in each new culture and build upon this every time I enter a new environment. So then I wondered, why do I have a sense of identity that works in this way, whereas so many other people struggle with this? Well, according to Barry's acculturation model, it would appear as if I've undergone the integration approach to acculturation. That one. What this entails is that I've maintained a high connection to my home culture, Belgium, but likewise I've built a similarly strong connection to my host culture, Vietnam. Research has shown that this is the most psychologically healthy approach to acculturation. On the other hand, if you feel like you don't belong anywhere, it may be because you find yourself where you have a low connection to both your home culture and your host culture. Through my findings, I found that this makes you more psychologically vulnerable to developing mental health issues and other issues of psychological distress. So ideally, you would want to be in this box up here, where you allow all the different cultures to coexist within your sense of belonging. The key idea here is that it's best and possible to allow these cultures to coexist and form together your overall sense of belonging as a citizen of this world. But I know what you're thinking. How could I adopt this sense of belonging when so many other people are struggling with this issue? Well, I personally believe that it came down to being open-minded and optimistic about the idea of the move to Saigon. This mindset opens the doors to the opportunities that make you feel like you belong somewhere, meeting new people, becoming more engaged with the local community. It's not a breakthrough, but it really did work for me. Then, referring to social identity theory, as in the chart behind me, it can also be seen that your self-esteem can be gained from your personal identity. And this was my first set of advice. Focus more on who you are, independent of your social belonging. What are your personal achievements, traits, and values? Secondly, I strongly advocate for thinking of belonging not as attached to a single place, but as a concept that allows you to bring together all your relationships to different cultures to form your overall sense of belonging as a citizen of this world. This idea, I believe, is very useful in the globalizing context that we're living in. Many of the world's issues in part stem from our inability to identify beyond a very narrow border or culture. So imagine what we could achieve if we adopted a more transnational sense of identity and a more inclusive sense of belonging. Not only could this adjustment to our belonging comfort the troubled third culture kid, it could also have implications for the world. It's time to redefine what it means to belong and our parameters of belonging in the world we share. We need a lot more of our and us and a lot less them.